Is that your daughter, Caitlin? She's gorgeous. Mhm. Going to call to order the special meeting for North Topsail Beach for today, which is Tuesday, June 22nd from 1 to 3. The purpose of this meeting is to adopt our budget. So we're going to start with the approval of the agenda, which I believe we need to amend.
I make a motion that we amend the agenda by removing items 4 and 5.
Second.
Discussion?
I would amend that amendment to include not to exclude section 5. I think we should have closed session.
We didn't,
Yeah,
we didn't notice those items. The only thing we noticed
can't
was,
have a closed session.
no, if it's a special meeting, we need to stay focused on the agenda items that were noticed, is my understanding. Do we have Brian Eads?
Okay, just go ahead then.
I'm not even sure if Brian's on.
When I read,
No,
when
no.
I read the notice that we published, I think it only had the budget.
Yeah,
That's
that's
all I
my
had.
understanding.
That's all I had.
So that's the reason for the requested amendment to the, right, Kate? Yes. Yeah, she's shaking her head, yes. Okay, so all in favor then of the amended?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Then what I'd like to do is ask our finance officer to walk through the budget message for us, and I appreciate you doing this, Caitlin. I understand that the last 3 work sessions we've had are combined into this budget message. So if we could just walk through that, I would appreciate it.
Of course.
Brian is on there.
Oh, Brian is, okay, good.
So, like I mentioned, the budget message is essentially a summary and almost a letter format for the board and for the citizens of what is composed of for all the detailed line items of the budget that we've gone over. You guys have seen the final version of the budget at this point, and it is to many thanks to you all, as well as the department heads and former manager Gilbride, as well as Chief Younginer, to help get this all together. This has been meetings going back since February, so thank you to everybody who's been instrumental in getting this completed. Has been prepared in accordance with the general statutes and the North Carolina Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act. All the budgets are balanced and all revenues and expenditures are identified for this upcoming year. As you know, the town's largest source of revenues comes from our ad valorem property taxes. And per discussions in our workshops, the proposal is for a 5-cent tax increase for this upcoming year, making the total rate 46 cents for the town of North Topsail Beach. This will allow us to expand our services and as well as plan for upcoming capital improvements and purchases. The total revenue, estimated revenue, is going to be $3,990,120, and that tax is going to be divided among our 3 funds that we will have for the town. Our general fund will have 28 cents allocated. The capital improvement fund, which I'll talk about in a moment, will have 4 cents allocated, and the shoreline protection fund or beach fund will have 14 cents allocated. So the second largest source of revenue comes from the local sales tax, which is estimated at $2.2 million, and that's also divided among the funds historically, the general fund, as well as the shoreline protection fund. As you all know, in years past, we have had paid parking at the northern end of the town, as well as having seasonal passes for citizens and visitors to buy to drive onto the north end, as I think daily passes too. But and so those revenues have been allocated to the general fund, and we have enhanced our paid parking program. And now we have increased our total revenues from $100,000 annually to an anticipated $750,000. The revenues that were generated from the north end in the past, we have left in the general fund, with the new revenues that are to be collected, it going to the shoreline protection fund for the beach fund. Our accommodations tax is another big source of revenue for the town, and that remains at 3% for this upcoming fiscal year. And those revenues go solely towards the shoreline protection fund. We are anticipating that these revenues will be close to $1.5 million for next fiscal year, which we have exceeded that this current fiscal year. We have worked, like I said, with department heads and with you all, had many conversations, and the expenditures and the revenues are based on historical data, contracts, current and prior year trends, recommendations provided by the North Carolina League of Municipalities, and all the requests have been made available for you guys to review upon all of the workshops that we've had. We strive as a town to provide exceptional services such as police and fire, inspections and permitting and planning, public works, to make our town better for not only our citizens, people who live here, but the people who visit here as well. And our hope and striving is that the budget enables us to do so, preparing us to do so, I suppose. This next year, we're not proposing any new positions, but we are recommending an increase from 1% to 3% merit. Our employees are the number one reason, the big asset for our town, and so we believe that increasing the merit will better reward the employees and show their growth and improvement throughout the year. We've also proposed a 2% cost of living for this next fiscal year. The consumer price index for consumers rose 4.2% over the last 12 months. They haven't seen that increase since 2008. So because of that, we are proposing the 2% COLA increase, and that would take effect as of July 1st, approved. And the final mandatory increase for the town's portion of the Orbit system, the North Carolina Local Government Retirement System, will go into effect this year. It's been a 5-year plan that was set out by the Board of Trustees for the local government retirement system. And so the general class is moving up to the final rate of 11.53%, and the law enforcement is going up to 12.04%. The rates that are for the 401k that the town contributes to the employees' 401k is remaining the same, 3% for the general class and 5% for the law enforcement class. Like I mentioned earlier, we have a new fund this year. We are titling it the Capital Improvement Fund. It will be Fund 12, and we are allocating 4 of the 5 new cent tax increase to this fund exclusively for it, and it will be for planning and preparation for the future needs of our town, specifically for the needs of the public safety building, and that will house our police and our fire department, as well as new fire trucks that are going to be upcoming in future years. This will allow us to better prepare fiscally for these needs that we are aware of now and set us up better for the future. Also created this year is the American Rescue Plan Fund, or Fund 15. President Biden signed this American Rescue Plan into law March of this year, which will distribute funding across all the states, but North Carolina cities and towns as well. And per guidance from the Treasury as well as the state, they have advised towns to create a separate fund for when those revenues are distributed to the town, so they will not be caught up with the normal operations and funding for towns. So there is a fund now that is empty and has no funding, so when that revenues are distributed, we'll do an amendment to allocate those funds. And in summary, we believe that this is a good plan for us as a town and a good commitment moving forward for our future. As a town, we kept every effort to make costs minimum and provide necessary services to the citizens in the most efficient and effective way possible, while also preparing for our future needs. Thank you again to all the department heads and employees and you guys as the board and mayor for helping put this all together and complete this for this upcoming year. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Caitlin. Any questions on the budget message? Yes, sir.
Just real quick. So of the 5 cents, and they laid it out on here just so everybody understands, 4 of it's going basically into the capital fund,
That's
which
great.
is to pay for the public safety building and the fire trucks and things like that. So you're looking at the general increase, it's only 1% for the town. You've got a moderate increase, and also you've got a typo on the second last paragraph, the word treasury is misspelled.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question.
Okay, Tom had his hand up first. Alderman Leonard.
Yeah, real quick, you mentioned when you were talking about occupancy taxes that we've exceeded 1.5 million this year. Do you know what the number is, just ballpark?
It was right over 1.5. I don't
Okay.
have that with me right now. I'm sorry. Did not read that report. I can send it to you.
And I will say, just on the occupancy tax thing, Alderman Leonard, that with schools going back in and in session, we
Oh,
may
yeah.
see a little bit of a slowdown in our
Yeah,
revenues there.
we might not though with all this new construction.
That's true too. I was just
It may
saying, yeah.
offset it.
I
It
don't
may offset it.
know. Mayor Pro Tem?
You presented the fee schedule along with the budget message. Do you have any comments about the fee schedule?
Good point. I'm sorry for not bringing that up. Overall, the fees remained the same from the previous years, other than the increase in property tax, which is listed on the fee schedule. We also added a fire tab fire fee schedule this year, which has not been represented in the past. So all of this is straight from the fire chief. There is a fire page. So that is new. And then also I added a parking fee schedule, which lists out the rates, hourly, weekly, seasonally, just so that's represented as well. Other than those changes, everything else remains the same.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I wanted to see the fire page real quick.
Okay, second to last page. Red.
Okay, so these are just for inspections and unauthorized issues that we've got, really.
Yes.
And I believe that most of these inspections, and I know he's not here, are these mostly commercial based?
I believe so,
Yes,
yes.
they are. Okay. Any other questions for Caitlin? So what I'd like to do is, if the board is in agreement with that, is allow Caitlin to make those couple corrections that are just one correction, maybe one or two. And then I can stop in, because it has to be signed when.
Need to open the public hearing.
I just wanted to understand what the time frame was when it needs
So
to be.
we got-
The typo that I have is on the message, which
Yes.
does not hinder
Okay.
the ordinance or the passing of the budget.
Okay,
So I can do that, but that will not hinder anything today.
okay. All right, well then, let's go ahead and open the public hearing. Do I have a motion to do so?
so moved.
Public hearing. We have a second, we're all in favor?
Aye.
Do we have anybody who's sent in any comments or wanted to be heard?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Okay. Make a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so then can, clerk, would you mind taking roll on the vote for the 2021-2022 budget?
We need a motion for that?
Make a motion?
We need a motion in a second. I'll make the motion that we approve the budget as presented today.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now we can call roll.
Alderman Leonard.
Aye.
Alderman Grant.
Aye.
Alderman Meyer. Aye. Mayor Pro Tem Dunn.
Aye.
Okay, seems we have passed our budget. Then that's it for today. So if we can get a motion to adjourn this meeting,
Need to settle the meeting if you want to do the MSPs.
we can't today because it wasn't on the agenda for the special meeting. Yeah.
We can notice it.
Yeah.
But we do have a meeting already scheduled for Friday.
We have one scheduled for
That was
Friday.
noticed, right?
Right.
When-
Mayor and board, as we've discussed in the past, the statutes require the creation of municipal service district to be prior to the end of a fiscal year to be effective the following fiscal year. It's a unique statute in that it must be voted on twice. And I presume that means at two separate meetings. So I think we're going to need to call another special meeting in addition to the one called for this Friday, so that matter can be addressed twice and voted on twice prior to the end of this fiscal year. And I say that simply because if you don't create them by the end of this year, it will be a whole nother fiscal year before you can implement them. You can always create them and not use them, but you can't decide in September you'd like to have municipal service districts implemented and then start in September. They would not start until July of 2022. So I recommend that we notice another special meeting, and in that notice identify municipal service district creation and possible action for that meeting. And that needs to occur before the end of this fiscal year, prior to
And
July
I
1.
believe- Brian, I believe all we were saying from a board was that it wasn't noticed as a discussion item for today. So
Right.
that's why that's why we had removed it from the agenda.
Yeah,
So-
I'm just, while we're all here, I'm just letting you know that I recommend that in addition to the special meeting that's noticed for Friday, which I understand does have the MSDs on it,
Yeah.
there's going to be a need for
Wonderful.
yet another special meeting prior to the end of the fiscal year.
Monday or Tuesday.
And does that require 10 days notice?
48 hours call a special meeting. If you recall, the notice to the affected property owners was mailed. I think it was a 30-day notice period prior to us conducting that public hearing. All of that's already happened. The prerequisites, we have the plan. The plan's been available for people to look at with the maps. We had the public hearing. The next step would be to vote on the creation of the districts. And both votes obviously would have to pass to create them. In
Okay.
other words, if the first vote passes and the second vote fails, then they're not created.
So we can just as a board direct staff to schedule another meeting, a special meeting for Monday, just specifically for that second MSD vote.
If that works for everybody, I mean, I'd like to know for my scheduling purposes, what day and time y'all are talking about.
Monday.
Monday, the 28th.
Okay, and what time?
I don't have I can make my schedule work.
10 o'clock,
10?
10 o'clock.
That's fine.
I should be able to do that at least by Zoom.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, with now, did we already do our motion to adjourn?
No.
Can we please have the motion to adjourn?
I'm
Yes, ma'am.
location for that special
Here. Mhm. Did you make a motion, Susan?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're done.